Very good morning to all of you. I am Sandeep Mukherjee. Today we will be having a small lecture on Article 311 for those who are dealing with disciplinary matters in their organization, be it purely government ministries, departments, or public sector undertakings, or even autonomous bodies, wherever by and large the procedures of the government rules and regulations are followed. The Article 311 basically provides two rights to persons holding civil post under the government. And these two rights are under clause 1 and under clause 2. Both are very, very important rights available to a person holding civil post under the government. Let us very quickly see what clause 1 of Article 311 provides to the government servant. It says, no person who is a member of the civil service of the Union or an All India service or a civil service of a state or holds a civil post under the Union or state shall be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. Now, very simply reading this sentence, we can read it like this at the cost of, simplifying it a little too much, but yet I would like to do this, read this clause like this, that no person who is a holder of a civil post under the Union or a state shall be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. So it's very easy to understand what is the protection it is giving. The Constitution is providing this guarantee to every government servant that if you were appointed by a officer of level, let us say Joint Secretary, then he or she cannot be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that of the level of a Joint Secretary. Suppose, take a very common example in Central Secretariat Service or in the Government of India, you might all be knowing that the basic subordinate service is the Central Secretariat Service. In this, even an assistant section officer who is a non-gazetted officer, Group B, is actually appointed by the President. And whenever we are using the word President, it means Minister. So he is appointed by a President. That means if an assistant section officer of the Government of India is to be removed or dismissed, he can be removed or dismissed only by an officer of the level of Minister. So only a Minister can dismiss or remove him. Even the Secretary of a ministry or department cannot dismiss or remove assistant section officer, because the guarantee given in the Article 311 clause 1, it says that it cannot be removed by an authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. Now, this is one of the very fundamental aspect of disciplinary proceedings. So whenever you are handling a disciplinary case and you are proposing to dismiss or remove a person from service, please ensure that you have checked by which authority he was recruited or appointed at the time his initial recruitment. That initial recruitment could have been 10 years ago. And this is very important because our clause 1 does not say he cannot be removed or dismissed by an authority subordinate to appointing authority. It is not using the word appointing authority. It is using the word subordinate to that by which he was appointed. So quite often we find this in the government service, or in my career I have quite often seen this, that today you are removing a government servant from his service and you open up the rule books and you find his appointing authority is, let us say, Secretary of the government or that ministry. But when he was recruited 5 years ago or 10 years ago, at that time, for any reason, let us not dwell too much on this, for some reason the file went up to the minister for his approval, and the minister approved it. Now, 10 years down the line, when you are removing him or dismissing him, the guarantee is by which he was appointed. So if he was appointed by a minister, although the appointing authority of his post could be secretary, even then he cannot be removed by secretary today because he was appointed by the minister. The second protection available to a government servant is under clause 2, and this is very important. I request all of you to just start reading the sentence or the line itself. What it says is that no such person as aforesaid shall be dismissed, removed, or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he has been informed of the charges against him and given a reasonable opportunity of being heard in respect of those charges. Now, if you see this, let us take this example. Suppose you are removing assistant section officer from service. You intend to remove him from service, but you have understood that he can be removed and dismissed only by the approval of the minister. So minister is the competent authority as per the instructions, because he was his assistant section officer of the Central Secretariat Service is appointed by a minister. Now, even if the minister wants to remove him from service, the clause 2 says that he can be removed, dismissed, or even reduced in rank only and only after an inquiry is held. So that inquiry becomes mandatory if he has to be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank. And that inquiry cannot take place without informing the government servant concerned. So the inquiry, whatever inquiry will take place, in that inquiry, the government servant will have to be informed of the charges. What are the charges against him? You can't hold an inquiry, behind his back and then decide he is guilty. No, he has to be informed of the charges. So condition number 1 is inquiry has to be held. Condition number 2, he has to be informed of the charges. Supreme Court has interpreted the word informed and not, it has said it is not used word, the Constitution does not use the word communicate. It says informed. That means he must understand what are the charges. If it is in a language which he does not understand, then it has to be, in that particular language which he understands. You can't issue hi-fi English language drafted charge sheet to a group D who doesn't understand English. So the word is informed of the charges. And the third condition is, even if you hold an inquiry, you inform him of the charges, the third condition is he has to be given a reasonable opportunity of being heard in respect of those charges. So if you issue him a charge sheet, let us say, take an example, you issue him a charge sheet and you ask him to give a reply within 3 days, it may be held as unreasonable. So it has to be a reasonable opportunity. He wants to see some papers before he wants to file his reply, and the department does not show him the papers which are otherwise very relevant for filing his reply, or a particular file he wants to see. The courts have held that in that case, reasonable opportunity has not been provided. Now, before we wind up, let me very quickly summarize what I have discussed. There are 2 protections available to a government servant. One is that he cannot be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. Kindly note, by which he was appointed, not by the word does not, the Constitution clause 1 does not use the word appointing authority. 99% of the cases when you are removing a government servant is appointing authority, and the person who appointed him would be same. But please do check it. And the second guarantee is that he cannot be dismissed, removed, or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he has been informed of the charges and given a reasonable opportunity of being heard in respect of those charges. Now, what are those reasonable opportunities have been, reduced into writing by beautifully drafted CCA rules 1965 or the DPE rules of the various public sector undertakings, which is ditto copy of the Government of India CCA rule 1965. Or in the case of All India Service Officers, there is All India Service Conduct and Disciplinary Rules. Basically, they are all same. So whether you are handling disciplinary matters in a public sector undertaking, autonomous bodies, or Government of India, Government of the state, it is by and large same. So kindly see the 2 guarantees given to us. Before I wind up, just kindly also note, this is very important, interesting, that if an subordinate officer imposes a minor penalty other than dismissal, removal, some small penalty, let's say withholding of increment, or censure, then the Constitution does not say a subordinate authority cannot impose the penalty. What the Constitution prevents is that the penalty of dismissal and removal cannot be imposed by a subordinate authority. It does not prevent the subordinate authority from imposing a smaller minor penalty, let us say censure, withholding of increment, or like these. So I am just alerting you to this important concept, because in the part 2, 3, 4, when we are discussing 311 in more detail, we will talk about all those things. We will talk about what do we mean by holder of a civil post. Are public are those working in the PSUs, NTPC, BHEL, Rural Electrification Corporation, are they holders of civil posts? Are they holders of are they member of a civil service of the union? Or in other words, do they have the constitutional guarantee which we have discussed under clause 1 or clause 2? The answer is no, but we will discuss this in subsequent lectures. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.